Get straight in.
I'm letting people in, yeah.
Okay, great. So let's start off with introductions. Myself, David Burrell, Future IQ. We also have from Future IQ, Celine. Do you want to? Yep, Celine's waving. Heather from Future IQ. And there's a few new people who have signed up as community connectors since we last had a session. So let's just do a quick round of introductions, right? Just while there's new faces coming on, just so we all get to know each other. We'll just take a second to do it. Jennifer, do we want to start with you?
Sure, Jennifer Gregg. I've been living in, I retired to Falmouth about 20 years ago. My connections here are limited to the, basically my immediate community. It's probably 20 to 30 families. So that's about all I bring to the table here.
That's plenty. Thanks, Jennifer. Pam?
Pam Vos, and I've lived here about 11 years. My husband has taught in Falmouth High School for many years, and connections with family, neighbors. And when we really started making a list, I felt better about how many people I could contact.
Good. Okay. Thanks, Pam. And we've also asked Erin to jump in on from the town as well, because she's helping with the communications between the town. So Erin, do you want to just quick intro? Because you're a local as well.
Erin Cadigan, and I do work for the town doing communications. I also live in Falmouth. I've been here 12 years. I have a graduate of Falmouth High School and one son still in the high school, and served on PTO, worked in the library, so lots of connections for me.
Okay, thanks, Erin. Marjorie?
Me? Marjorie Getz, Old Powerhouse Road. I've lived in Falmouth for 45 years.
Okay, thank you. Amanda?
Which one?
Amanda Rand, you, yes.
Hi, I'm Amanda Rand. I grew up in Falmouth. I have product of the Falmouth schools as my husband. Got 3 kids in the schools right now. Tons of family in town, lots of friends, lots of old friends that have moved back as well. And my parents in town too, so access to their friends as well.
Great, thanks, Amanda. Amanda Henson?
Hi, good morning. I've lived in Falmouth about 27 years and lived in Maine about 30. And I live across the street from Amanda Rand. And I have twin boys who are seniors in college. And so in addition to sort of my neighborhood connections, I know a lot of people who have kids who are out of the school system. All over town, and then I have many connections through my work and other engagements that I have throughout Maine. So, but a lot of folks in Falmouth. So I'm looking forward to contributing to the project.
Okay, thank you, Amanda. Michelle Lamb?
Hi, yes, I grew up in Falmouth, and I have 2 boys who are in elementary and middle school. And my connections are mainly just from growing up here and working here, and the neighborhoods I've lived in, and scouts and things like that.
Okay, great, thank you. And David?
Hi, David Gooch. I live here on Johnson Road for a considerable amount of time. I'm connected to the waterfront here in Falmouth and helped with the Clabberd Island Preserve Project. Okay, great, thank you. And Bharat? Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes, that's right. Bharat Murthy. Hi, good morning, everyone. My wife and I moved to Falmouth about 4 years ago. We've been in the Portland area for about 10 years or so. And we're in the Stapleford area, and we know most of our neighbors. So looking forward to connecting with them to sort of spread this message. And we have an 8-month-old brand new baby boy who will end up going to the Falmouth schools.
Okay, great. And I think you hold the honor of being the first person to sign up as a community connector.
Oh, well, good.
Good for you, right? Danielle?
Hi, I'm Danielle Tracy, and I live over in the Flats neighborhood, or Mackworth Point, whatever you want to call it. I've been here for about 25 years, and I have lots of connections through the school, big part of the school board. Still interacting with a lot of committee work through there, as well as 3 boys and sports, hockey, baseball, all that kind of world. And I do a lot with the church, with Holy Martyrs Church in that parish, and big group of people on the board there as well. So yeah, got some connections.
Thank you very much. And Shakar?
Hi everyone, good morning. This is my first meeting. I've been a town resident for almost a decade now and am excited to have just stepped into the role of president of the Falmouth Memorial Library. So I do have lots of relationships through the library, but also through my kids. I've got a 4th grader and a 1st grader in the Falmouth Elementary School, and have been involved with the Intercultural Awareness and Inclusion Committee as well there. Fantastic. Okay, thank you. And there's somebody on a phone that ends in 1124. I'm not sure who that is.
It's Andrea Ferranti.
Hello,
morning.
Andrea.
How are you this morning?
Very well.
So yeah, this is the first time I've been on. Sorry I'm on the phone, but I'm about to get ready for work. I grew up in Falmouth. I've been here longer than I care to admit. And I am connected in multiple ways. I have lots of family and neighbors, and I was involved in town council and some other things along the way. So it's good to be here. I'm excited about the project. Thanks for including me.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And Tom?
David?
Yes.
There's someone else here that on my screen only says Stan, but you didn't ask her.
Oh, I am so sorry, right? So, but that does, so I am not familiar. So Stan, please.
I'm not Stan. Stan is my husband. I'm Kathy Hillman Reed.
Okay.
I missed the first meeting. So this is an introduction in more ways than one. I'm actually both of us are lifelong Mainers, but have been Falmouth residents for 40 odd years. And my connections are as a board member of the Falmouth Land Trust. I'm a former school board member. Our 2 sons did their public schooling, all of it here in Falmouth. And I have a ton of connections through very long association and membership with Forsyth Community Church.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Kathy. And Tom Ancona? Yep.
Hi everyone. My name is Tom Ancona. This is my first meeting as well. We have a kindergartner, and with Falmouth schools being virtual last week, it became a little impossible to make the meeting. But my family and I live on Middle Road in Falmouth. We've been here about 5 years so far. So we have a 5-year-old who's in kindergarten at Falmouth Elementary this year, and a 1.5-year-old who goes to Little Hands over in West Falmouth. We are active members at Holy Martyrs Church. I volunteer with the Land Trust. And I will say that with the pandemic, over the last year, we've gotten to know our neighbors really well because we've been doing a lot more walking and seeing a lot more people. So I think we've got a really good connection along our northern end here of Middle Road and the surrounding neighborhood. So I'm really excited to be with this group and help out however I can.
Great, thank you, Tom. And I see Jennifer's just joined as well. And Jennifer, we only just got your sign-up details this morning, so thanks for jumping on at short notice, and there will be some material to send to you, but we're just doing quick intros of each other at this stage. So Jennifer?
Hello, sorry, I just saw this email about 5 minutes ago, but I'm Jen Maroka. I live over on Preservation Drive in the Foreside. My husband and I moved here with our family in 2015. We have 3 kids, 3 boys. One is just turned 2 last week. The other 2 are in Falmouth Elementary School, so they're in 2nd and 4th grade. We've really enjoyed being here. Involved with the Audubon and various different kind of social groups and clubs in the area. So looking forward to supporting the effort.
Great, and somebody's got a toy train going in the background.
I know. Yes.
There it is. All right. Well, look, thank you everybody for the introduction. So let's dive into the program, right? So I have a few sort of slides that I want to just talk through in terms of the timeline of the overall project. Some of what we think are the sort of the key roles for yourselves as community connectors, some initial sort of talking points that might be useful. And then also we want to just show you some of the material. So thank you for a number of you who've been sending in photos and quotes. We want to just show you the first draft of those. And we'll be done by the end of the half hour. So let me just share my screen and we'll dive into this. All right. Okay. So sorry, this is probably an awkward shape, right? So I should have probably done it in landscape, but the slides are all in sort of this portrait format. But we'll send these to you afterwards, but I just wanted to show them to you. And if there's any errors, we can fix those, right? So this is a timeline. This schematic actually is on the portal as well, so you can go and download it from there. But I have added just a bit of branding around these, so if you do want to sort of print them off and have them handy and so on. But essentially the project runs from September through to mid-2021. My guess, right, is we'll probably end up going longer than that. There's a lot of desire in the community to make sure not to rush this, right, but to allow for the circumstances of the pandemic. And I want to talk a bit about that in terms of the timeline. And the council seems to be most interested in obviously doing a good job and getting community input rather than rushing a process. So our timeline's sort of flexible, but it will still follow these major phases. So the first phase, which we've been working on, which is background research, sort of we've been doing some obviously initial project planning, getting some sort of key data, so on. We're working on a benchmark report, which is a side-by-side comparison with a number of other communities that meet a certain set of similar criteria, which is about population size, proximity to a city, high-performing school district, and so on. We'll probably talk about that in a future connector meeting, but we're just working in the background on that. And we're really in phase 2, which is part of where you as community connectors really kick in. So this is where we really are looking at sort of probing the future, understanding people's, what are the issues, what are the concerns about the future, starting to think about different future directions, so that, starting to develop those up in the think tank, scenarios for the future. Then we move into phase 3, which is sort of likely to be, well, again, these timelines are going to be deliberately vague at this stage because we want to be flexible. But we then want to have broad community engagement around, what might be an emerging vision and then a final report. To put that into a context of how people can get involved, because one of the things that's really, I think is a real feature of your community is that people are really keen to have a say. Well, there seems to be two cohorts, right? There's people like yourselves, right, who are really stepping up and really want to weigh in and contribute ideas and thoughts. And then there's probably quite a large portion of people who, are busy with things, but have some clear connection and interest in the community. So we want to kind of help bridge those two, use yourselves as an activated group of community people to reach people, to get them, to encourage them to participate. And so the type of inputs that we're designing, so we've been running a couple of these discussion boards, so they're on the portal. In fact, the community survey that's out at the moment was built to a fairly significant degree by input from people on a discussion board about what should be in that first survey. We're in this phase 2 here, which is a lot of engagement, so becoming a community connector, such as yourselves, encouraging people to take the survey. We'll be loading up more discussion boards about key drivers, which I'll talk about in a bit. Then obviously we'll be posting data onto the portal. People can go in and start to look at that. Then we'll be having focus groups, think tank. People can then read the reports and comment on it. We'll have some community visioning workshops where we're really keen on the idea of a future summit at some point when it is safe for people to gather, and a secondary community survey. There is a logical flow to this, and it will flow, I think, very naturally for the community. People will sort of see the information building on itself as it goes through. So the first community survey will help shape the drivers that we'll explore. That'll help shape the think tank. That'll help shape this notion of a preferred future, and so on as we go through. And we're working with Erin actually to design a communication sort of narrative that goes with the whole project that will be on social media platforms and the town's newsletters and so on. So that's again, that material's actually on the portal as well. In terms of just a quick kind of overview in sort of the approach, right? And I think this sort of leads into what might be sort of talking points or how to sort of frame this with people. One of the things I do find is that there's a certain element of skepticism about surveys at the moment. You know, there's a degree of people going, oh yeah, another survey, right? But this project does have some unique features because it very much is designed to be a visionary or a vision setting project. So while at the start we're asking people about their thoughts of the current situation and sort of medium term, very quickly in this project, we're going to get to really talking about the big issues shaping the future. And so having this kind of future orientation is a really key part of the project design. So the future drivers in the think tank really are probing future different possible versions of the community. It's data driven. Then, you know, we are going to do a lot of work with data and data visualization so that people can see, you know, what people are saying, but not just in a bunch of words, but doing it in a qualitative manner as well. But we're also very keen to make it a very people-friendly process, right? So people do get to weigh in and do get to feel that their input's really important. Before I dive into the talking points, any questions on these first three diagrams? These are on the portal, but that's just the high-level design of the project and the methodology. Any questions or anything you want to ask? I can't see anybody, so you'll have to just sing out if you've got something. Okay, good. Well, I'll take that as good. Here's some thoughts on some initial talking points, right? So this is just suggestions, right? So you'll find your voice in this, but some things that we thought would be useful that I think address some of the concerns that people have raised or thoughts. And you can obviously feel free to, you know, elaborate on this, but this is just sort of a framework, right? The first one is that this is a community-driven visioning process, right? This is not a consultant. We're the consultant. We help design the methodology, do the data analysis, help facilitate all that kind of stuff, right? But the content is very much a community-driven visioning process. This is not council-led, consultant-led. This is going to be community-led, community-driven, right? And your role as community connectors is going to be really important in helping kind of rally the community voice. The project will run through, I think the expectation realistically is that it'll run through much of 2021. As I said, there's lots of opportunity for people to have input. I think why I've put that in there as a talking point is that a lot of people, I think, I don't know, there seems to be almost an assumption with some people that the community survey is the only chance that people are going to have input. So the community survey that's running now. But that's not the case. There's actually going to be lots of different opportunities and different ways that people will be able to have input. So if somebody, for example, is not interested in the survey or doesn't have time or something like that, that's not the end of the game, right? There's going to be multiple touch points through the course of this project. The first community survey, which is out, it's not deciding the vision at all, right? It is really a first survey that's exploring the issues and thoughts about the current direction that the community is on, right? And we've got a lot of work to do to get to building the future piece. The process is going to be built on extensive community input via surveys, focus group, discussion boards, think tank, community summits, you name it, we're going to throw it at it, right? We might even try and do some things with the school later in the process and so on. In terms of a sort of a point where all the data will be and all the information, that's going to be the project portal. It's a little skeletal at the moment. I mean, the basic elements are there, but we're going to continue to add material to that. And that's the go-to point where people can go and take surveys, read reports, look at the data and so on as we go through the project. The overall outcomes of the project are going to be a deep understanding of the community's desire for the future, an aligned vision, and a broad roadmap of how to get to that future. But a broad roadmap is the key part, right? It will set the broad direction or the building blocks to get towards the preferred future. And this vision and values project is preceding the comprehensive planning process, which will follow at some point, right? And that's really a much more detailed process of laying out the policies and procedures that help the town or the community get from where it is to the preferred future. So any comments or thoughts around those talking points, we're happy to kind of add or tweak those, but do they make sense for you as a group of community connectors as a first round of talking points?
Marjorie here. Yeah. If I are at any of these community connector meetings, are we going to be able to, are you going to give us any strategies for how to make this happen when we're, you know, I'm already getting pushback. You have to understand, David, that this process probably started in Falmouth a little late. There's a great deal of distrust towards the governance here. And so I'm already getting things like, well, I don't want to do the survey because it's not anonymous, and I'm worried about retaliation. That's the word that was used, retaliation. So, really? And that's too broad a subject for today. But my question to you is, are you going to be, this is all very good, you know, rainbows and unicorns kind of stuff. But when we actually get into more detailed conversations with our neighbors who are distrustful of the process, I think I'd like some strategies surrounding that. And I'm wondering if we're going to.
Yes, so we will get to that. And what I find, Marjorie, is that some of those things takes time, right? And there's sort of some underlying principles that are embedded in this project. You know, one is that it's community driven, but it's also very open and transparent. And the data will be there for people to see in an anonymous sense. And actually, I should just address that because not all of us have been part of that conversation. There was quite a bit of debate in the design of the community survey, the first community survey, that people were a number of people were concerned to make sure that the survey was able to look at what residents felt versus other people, right? So there was a concern about people hijacking the survey, right? Either, you know, getting in there and spamming it, or, you know, skewing the results. And while we actually rarely ever see any real evidence of that in the surveys, we did, because of that concern, we did put in a number of measures to help make sure that we can verify information. So we have asked people to put their name and contact details at the start of the survey. And that's a way that we can then sort of verify people. And we know that actually from survey research that can turn some people off, right? So some people then won't take the survey because of a whole range of issues, and, you know, the fear of retaliation might be one of them. But that was the trade-off that we ultimately put in the lap of a number of people, including the council, and the decision was to have some way to vet the data. But it's also really great because we're able to, if people for some reason are doing the survey and they drop out and they don't complete it, we're able to send them a prompt and they can go back in and complete the survey. So it's a bit of a trade-off, but I think, Marjorie, the job for us all is to build trust and sort of some excitement about the project, right, as we go forward. You know, I've done enough of these to know that we'll get to the end of it and there'll be people at the end who will go, it was baloney at the start and it's baloney at the end, right? Or there'll be people who say, I never heard of it. And there'll be people who'll say, oh, halfway through they'll go, oh, this looks like it's actually a proper process, and I'll jump in. So I think we just sort of try to lay it all out and be patient, and then work with people like you to encourage people to keep, you know, being persistent and find different ways. So no easy answers, but we'll share some topics around that. Perhaps we might even make a note on our next meeting to have some group discussion about approaches of how to talk to people. But that's what these talking points are. These are aimed to address some of those background concerns.
What you're saying would be very helpful to me. I mean, you did focus on what I said about the non-anonymity, but I'm getting other kinds of pushback that have to do with distrust of the current governance.
Yeah, I got it. And that's, and we all know that trust building takes time, right? And, we'll probably do 9 things right and 1 thing's wrong, and we'll just keep working at it to build trust. And that's why I think the project going a little slower is not really a problem at all, right? I mean, I think it just allows more time for people to find out about it and so on. Any other questions or comments on the talking points? Just jump in if you have. Okay, and we'll send these all to you after the call. Okay, so and I wanted to show you this, right? So this is getting to my last point, right? So as I said, your face and your voice is going to be a really important part of this project. And I think to Marjorie's point, this is about building trust as well, because it's not an anonymous kind of somebody doing this. This is people just like you, right, who are long-term residents, lifetime residents. Thank you for those who have sent photos and quotes in. This is just a few. I think we have about 6 of these done. We're currently doing a little logo, right, which is we want to create a little unique logo for the project. So it's Falmouth, but the Vision and Values 2030 project, which we'll put on this. And then we'll start to put these onto the portal and include those in social media posts, to show what you as connectors think about this project. And this is a way of reaching people and encouraging them to participate. We'll also couple this with the one-on-one interviews that we'll do with those of you that are willing to. I think we have 3 or 4 already scheduled, but we'll certainly be aiming to do those over the next couple of weeks, right? So these are obviously your words. And so any thoughts on those? They look pretty good, I thought, don't they? Thanks for sending in nice photos, right? So we want a kind of photos, not the stuffy sort of, office photo, but, people, in their real life doing the things that they enjoy, right? So it was great to see those photos come in.
I think they look great, David.
Sorry, Erin?
I think they look great. And it occurred to me as I was looking at all the faces as well, I think we have just such a nice representation of ages and genders and everything here too. So I think it is a great reflection of the community and will continue to be so. And I do think that speaks to Marjorie's concerns about trust issues as well. Yeah. I think if you can emphasize the community connector piece, that this is a lot of resident driven activity, I think that can be really helpful.
Yes. So don't be surprised if you see your photo on the side of a bus or something like that going through town, right? No, we're not going to stand here. But I think Erin's point is exactly right, which is, even if you just look at this screen, right, it's a cross section of people who make up a community, right? And that's what we want to keep talking about, that this is a process for, for people who are, young and raising a family. It's a process for people who've had their life vested in the community. It's, for people who've just arrived here and so on, right? And that's why it's really right there at the start of the talking points, is that this is a community driven process, and you're the face of the community, and it will continue to grow as more connectors add. So Erin, we didn't really finish the discussion. I know I did the article on Friday that came out in the Focus magazine, but we will probably try and time the release of your quotes and images and videos probably more in the new year. So after we get through the Christmas and sort of New Year holiday festive sort of period. But of course the survey is still open and people can go to that and continue to take it. Just as an update on that, I think do you know, Celine, what we're at in terms of survey numbers? 850 or something, aren't we? You're on mute, Celine, yeah.
I can check that really quickly.
Yeah, but we're about 850, right?
850 around.
And we do hope, obviously, to get, over 1,000. But look, we do understand, I mean, this is a long survey. The part of design by committee was that it ended up being a really long survey. But we hope it's provocative enough for people to do it. And in fact, I think we're probably at about 75% of people who started the survey have actually completed the whole lot, right? There are different points where people have dropped out, but we're actually getting some fantastic sort of thoughts and insights. Celine?
850.
Yeah, 850. Okay, good. And so we expect that to just sort of creep up. And the survey's open now until the end of January, right? So that was one thing that I think went to council at the last meeting, and they extended it based on recommendation, actually, of a number of people on this call. So we're right up on time. So I'm sorry we're slightly over. I will wrap it up there. We'll send you those slides, right? I know this is a little talking at you, right? The next sessions will be more sort of discussion around key things, but we wanted to make sure you had the sort of basic sort of framework of the project in your mind, the talking points. We'll get you some material and so you know what's coming. Any comments from anybody? Anything you want to weigh in on? Thoughts or things you'd like to cover in future agendas or messages to each other?
David, can I just ask really quickly,
Please.
Amanda? You had just mentioned we have about 850 and you would hope to get over 1,000. Is that like a target number? Like where would you be quite pleased as far as the amount of people doing that survey? Obviously, the more the better, but where would you be like, okay, this is great?
Well, if you want a totally aspirational one, right, then start to think of 2,000. I mean, that would be just a phenomenal response for a community your size. That would be really quite unprecedented for a large kind of detailed survey. If we get 1,500, 1,000 to 1,500, that is just a very healthy response, right? And we're clearly going to hit that, right? Because you guys haven't really even started weighing in on it significantly, and we've got a full month to keep talking about it. So I think it's, but the other thing too is we don't want to kind of burn all our gunpowder in one shot, right? This is a multi-month process, right? So we don't want to fatigue people. And I think actually somebody raised that about one of our discussions about we don't want to kind of pound people too hard, right? Because you can get to the point of people going, okay, enough, get away from me, right? So we want to be inviting with it, but there will be opportunities further on for people to engage in different ways as well, right? So any other thoughts or questions? Okay, good. Well, that's fantastic. Sorry to run over here. Erin, did you want anything you wanted to add just before we wrap up, or?
No, just a big thank you for everyone who's participating. I know you all sound like incredibly busy, active people, so really appreciate you're taking the time to do this.
Yeah, great, Erin. And I should also pass on to you too that Amy Kuhn, who's the chair, councillor, she just passed on her deep regards to you, right? She's so excited about the work that is going with the community connectors, and I think that's sort of that's her real vision of how this would roll out, that it becomes a real community-driven process, and it's the voice of the community that comes to the foreground. So she did ask me to pass on her appreciation of your willingness to be part of it. So we should just finish up with, so our next meeting, do you want to dive in on the Tuesday the 29th, or do you want to leave it to the 5th? Because we've got that whole thing of Christmas and New Year, right?
I don't care.
Sorry?
I don't care either way.
Okay, I can see you all now. So show of hands if the 29th, if you'd like to jump in on the 29th. Couple, 3, 4. Show of hands if you'd rather leave it to the 5th. Yeah, that's like a toss of a coin, isn't it, right? All right, so I think what we'll do, perhaps if we can do this, we'll leave it to the 5th, right? But if you're okay, we can send you some material, right? And we want to follow up with you one-on-one to do the videos and get these little JPEGs and things done. So we'll use that time to be in touch with you and send you more material. But then we'll design up a stronger program for the 5th. Does that sound okay? Yep, okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you on the 5th. Talk to you before then. And in the interim, you know what to do. Jingle bells, all that stuff, right?
Happy holidays.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.